Welcome back to another episode of the STGeek Podcast with myself, AJ, and alongside me, as always, are my co-hosts,
Peter,
John,
and we talk about movies, gaming, comics, TV shows, really whatever the hell we feel like talking about. And today, as the title of this video or episode that you're listening to would say, or would suggest, we're going to be talking about the worst comic book movies pretty much of all time, up to date, that is, anyway. But before we get into that, we always have some news stories we want to talk about. John, you want to kick us off, sir?
Yeah, let's do this. So Morbius and Ghostbusters secure a summer 2020 release. I mean, Ghostbusters was already kind of known. This is more about the Morbius. And
so they're actually going through with it.
Yeah, that's so what's happening.
All right.
Jared Leto, great.
Do we have any word on any sequel to Venom as far as release dates go?
It says that there'll most likely be a 2020 release for Venom 2.
For Venom as well, and this okay. So Morbius is gonna be our next entry in the Venomverse, then.
Oh,
interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Interesting to think. I mean, yeah, it's definitely confirmed that Jared Leto's gonna be a part of it, right?
In the Oh yeah, he's Morbius.
Huh.
So is that official, or is that because I know we've heard that, but I don't think they've officially announced.
I don't think it's official.
Oh, I see. I mean, judging from the character art of the character, I don't see it not being inaccurate, at least as far as aesthetic goes.
That's a really good role for that.
But does this mean
he likes to be creepy and stuff?
Yeah.
Is he not going to be Joker anymore? Is he finally done? What's going on with that?
I don't know.
That's
is anybody going to be anybody in the DCU anymore? Like Henry Cavill supposedly not going to be Superman.
Maybe we'll get the fucking Joaquin Phoenix. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah. DC Universe, as we all know, is kind of up in the air.
The Rock's in there still. He's signed on 10 years ago. We still haven't seen him in this universe.
Oh, shit. You're right, huh? He was supposed to be Black Adam?
Black Adam, yeah.
Oh, fuck. I forgot about that.
Maybe he'll make a cameo in Shazam.
Shazam, finally.
Yeah. There you go. Is he officially signed on within Warner Brothers and all that?
Yeah, that was official.
Who knows how long that contract is, though? Because, again, this was years ago that they announced this.
It was the same thing with Van Diesel. He was supposed to play Black Bolt, and that never happened.
Yeah, that's true.
They did that shitty TV show,
which they did not include him in at all.
That was never official. That was rumored.
I think he was interested in the role, but he never actually
speculated because they saw that he was going to Marvel Studios.
Yes,
and all that, and
he was just saying I'm Groot.
Yeah,
which I think is a way better
different
character
languages.
Anyway. At least Groot is part of a franchise that works.
Oh, yeah.
And then we know how that went.
I think Black Bolt would have been a good fit for Vin Diesel.
Yeah, I think so too, actually.
I mean, except it would have been weird. They would have had to have given him a wig, and that would have been weird.
Really?
I'm sure that. Well, yeah. I mean, I
what
guess
about
they could
give
have
him
gone
the costume the entire time. Because doesn't he have a thing covering his whole face?
Yeah,
you just kind of see his mouth.
That's just stupid. You don't see the hero in their costume at all times.
I don't know if I want to live in a world with Vin Diesel with hair, having hair. That
Please call me on this. Call me on this.
Hancock.
If you want to count his bum outfit as a costume, sure.
He wears it all the way through.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, moving on, Peter. What did you want to bring up today?
Fuck. Okay, hold on. Okay, so to build off of that.
Oh yeah, you did send me quite a few things. Nice. Okay.
And the DCEU, which
sure.
we mentioned a second ago. So apparently the Batman movie, the solo Batman movie, is no longer being called the Batman.
The one that Ben Affleck was going to star in, but then maybe just direct in, but then maybe not be a part of any of it at all.
But then maybe it's a dream sequence. Who knows, guys?
Right?
Who the fuck knows? Yes, that movie.
Yeah.
So
the Batman no longer the official title.
Further separating themselves from Ben Affleck's vision of the project to begin with. So
I think that's kind of a mistake. I mean,
it's a terrible
It's not Ben Affleck's fault that Batman vs. Superman didn't pan out so well, I really don't think that was his fault at all.
Of course it wasn't.
It was Zack Snyder's fault.
Right? But for them to separate themselves from him, I just don't see why. I mean, we're not there behind the scenes. Maybe it's him trying to separate himself, but he's just doing it in a somewhat classy and polite way, not trying to talk shit on them very much.
I don't even fucking know if this movie's going to come out at this point. Honestly.
Right?
Who knows?
We talked about it a few episodes ago.
There's still no set release date. So supposedly it's set to film in November, or was it
this year?
Summer? I believe it's this year.
I look forward to it if they're really going to do that. I'm down. I mean,
but that's practically a whole year away.
Yeah,
it'll get delayed.
Exactly.
They'll find a reason to.
Who the fuck knows?
Which is fine. I'm honestly cool with not seeing Batman on screen for another 5 years. If it means Warner Brothers and DC just taking their time to make sure it comes out right, I'm fine with that, because it's just been a hodgepodge of hits and misses lately, and Batman, unfortunately, has been a part of those misses a lot. I mean, I had fun with Justice League. I will admit, I had fun with Batman versus Superman after like my second viewing. I enjoyed the movie a lot more. A little bit.
Okay.
But
that makes sense.
I'm just saying, I just I don't know. As long as Warner Brothers are willing to take the time to make something work, then I'm fine with waiting. I don't mind that at all.
Honestly, at this point, I'm pretty happy with where the DC EU, Worlds of DC, whatever. I'm going to continue calling them the DC EU, so if you don't like that, go fuck yourself.
At PG Java. Yeah.
At PG Java. We're getting to a point where we're getting movies for characters that we've never seen before. We never had an Aquaman. I don't believe we've ever had a Wonder Woman. It was a TV show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shazam
Shazam is exciting.
Yeah, like they're branching out to other things, and I think I enjoy that more than I would another Batman movie.
No, agreed.
It's probably the character they've done to death the most.
Mm-hmm. And
especially in recent decades.
Yeah, I can't think of any other DC superhero that's had as many movies. I mean, Superman has had his time in the past with multiple sequels and such like that, and we'll get into that later as well, slightly. Mm-hmm. So, but I do agree. I think it's more so these newer characters, similar to what Marvel has done with characters like Ant-Man and such like that.
Doctor Strange.
Yes, and Doctor Strange. We're getting more out-of-the-box characters. I mean, Doctor Strange is still one of the more serious characters within the Marvel Universe, but I'm still saying that Aquaman, another serious character, but they're having their slapstick come in with Shazam later this year as well. So I like to see that there are parallels going on, and both seem to be paying off for each company pretty well, in my opinion, that is.
Yeah. Well, it's been paying off for Marvel for a while. DC's finally figured some stuff out.
Even though the DC movies have been terrible, they all make great money,
Bring your mic a little bit closer. Thank you, sir.
Right? Or am I wrong on this?
Well, I know Batman versus Superman made a shitload of money.
Made a boatload of
money.
But
then it also had like one of the biggest drop-offs after that, too. Yeah. I think so many people were talking shit about it.
I saw it day one, and the theater was empty. Batman for BVS, so yeah.
Did I watch? Unimpressive. You took me to that movie, huh?
I
Peter?
made you
like
go
dragged
see
me to that movie.
I saw it twice. I didn't want to see it twice, but I was like, "You have not seen this movie." Yes, we were hanging out, and then I was just like, "You haven't seen it yet? Well, we're gonna go watch it right fucking now, so you can know just how." I don't even think I told you. I didn't tell you anything. I didn't even tell you that it was bad. I told you need to see it.
I just knew it was awful, and you were like, "Well, you have to see it.
You have to see it." Because I wanted to get your honest opinion. I didn't want to influence you at all. And then, seeing it a second time, I honestly didn't hate it as much, but it was still bad.
Do you think that's because the second time you've already accepted it was a terrible movie, and you just kind of accepted what was good about it?
I think so.
It's actually a pretty fair call.
I analyzed it a lot deeper the second time, and there's a lot of bullshit that they set up in the first act that goes nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. The thing with Lex Luthor is talking about the demons coming from the sky and all this shit, and then like it asks these deep philosophical questions about what it is to like be a hero, like this internal conflict that Superman has and all this stuff, and it goes nowhere. Nothing happens with that. I guess this is a preview into the worst comic book movies topic we're gonna get into.
Right? Yeah. We'll dive into that a little further, but I like where your head's at. Very good. But yeah,
you see what you do to us, DC?
Right.
Peter's losing his mind.
Oh, God.
Well, moving on. Speaking of DC news, John, you wanted to talk about the Joker a little bit.
Yeah. So there's rewriting going on during the filming of the Joker movie. Great, but let me tell you guys.
Phoenix.
Let me tell you guys the exact quote, just to make it a little bit better. Okay.
Please. Okay.
We rewrote the whole thing while we were shooting it.
Wow.
Literally, we would go into Todd Phillips' trailer and then write the scene for the night and then do it.
I mean,
who said this?
Zazie Beetz. I would imagine it's one of the writers.
That name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Okay, so my thoughts on this, it could be one of two things. Either they were just so inspired by being there on set that they just wrote everything out and had a great time rewriting everything. Just like, oh, you know what? Forget what we had. This is going to be so much more better. We're going to do improv for this movie. You know, why not? And we'll see how it pans out. Or it just shows a serious lack of organization and realizing that what they wrote originally is trash and it's not going to work. And so they need to try to just write something out off the top of their ass. I don't know. Peter, what do you think?
I think the latter is more likely, honestly.
And that's what worries me. I want this movie to be great.
Here's the thing. Improv, rewrites during filming, like, it's doable. It can happen. It can work. mostly with comedies or
Sure.
maybe some. I don't think a movie like this with a dark tone. I mean, we've only seen that teaser, but I mean, it's the Joker, and the screenshots. Like it would have to be a darker, more realistic tone. And I don't think this is a particularly good news for a movie like that.
And you usually hear there's some rewrites, not
they have.
They're rewriting scenes the night before to do it the following day.
That's pretty scary. See, I don't know. See, you said this might help us feel better. I don't know how this makes us feel better. Explain, please.
This was my most anticipated movie for 2019.
It was definitely one of them.
After reading this, Detective Pikachu went up to
Which is fair, because that movie does look like a lot of fun. But for a serious tone movie, I want a lot of great things from the Joker. I want Joaquin Phoenix to show us how it's done and show all actors how it's done.
This is going to be, I think what might happen, it'll be a whole Jared Leto thing, where he says the scenes he did was amazing, and then they actually put it on film, and it's ass,
right?
Ass hat.
The performances themselves may be great, but if the editing isn't right, if the shots aren't right, the cinematography doesn't work, then it all falls apart. It's a movie, not a play. You know what I mean?
I mean, here's the thing: we've gotten before Wonder Woman came out. Like, this is all still speculation, but before Wonder Woman came out, we got those rumors that there was conflicts going on behind the scenes, that the movie was going to be garbage, like nobody on set was like in agreement, all this stuff. And I want to say there was another DC. Well, it feels like all DC movies are having that issue these days.
The Flash.
The Flash
going through 12 directors.
12. God damn. Do they even have a director anymore?
No, I think that movie's kind of a hiatus right now. The TV show's doing so well.
I guess.
Why ruin the reputation of something like that? Even though I liked the Flash in Justice League, though, I thought he was maybe one of the better parts of that movie, personally. But yeah,
I like Ezra Miller quite a bit more.
Yeah, Ezra Miller's pretty good. He's got talent for sure. But yeah, it is disappointing to hear that this is what's going on with the Joker. I hope to be pleasantly surprised.
Oh, please. Yeah.
I really do, because I want great things for not just DC, but just for Joker as a character on film. You know what I mean? We've had a couple misses of late, and I don't want that to be a recurring theme, I should say. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
Yeah,
these things happen. We'll see how they bring it all together.
For sure. So, Peter, you wanted to bring up something about the Bumblebee movie.
So it's officially getting a sequel.
Great.
Which,
it officially. Thank God. Okay.
It's officially getting a sequel. No announcements have been made as to when that's going to be, but it is officially getting a sequel, which was scary for a second there because it was the lowest performing Transformers movie.
Yeah, by quite a bit, I would say.
But they still turned a profit.
Yes, that's all that matters.
It's still profitable. But see, here's the thing: it didn't profit that much, and that is a very big deal to studios.
And it was a slow burn for this movie as well. Like it didn't reach profit right away.
Right.
Like not opening weekend, I don't believe.
No, it was pretty empty when I went to go and see it.
Yeah.
I'm honestly thinking they're gambling on the fact that this movie was well received.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe word's gonna spread around, because I mean,
these movies aren't bad anymore.
This doesn't even factor in DVD sales, Blu-ray sales.
Right, of course.
So I'm sure it's gonna
Good point.
It's not gonna make billions like the other movies, but maybe they're just hoping because the movie was so well received that a sequel might attract more people. I don't think that's what's gonna happen, but I'll watch it.
Oh yeah, no. If they put as much care and quality into the second film, then I think that will help rebuild the reputation, or just overall just clear the reputation of what the previous films did, and make people excited about Transformers movies again, and not just think it's just another joke coming out. You know what I mean?
They've also said that they're looking to do other Transformers movie projects outside of Bumblebee, so they're still trying to spread out the franchise a little bit. One of which is supposed to be an animated movie.
Oh, whoa!
I don't know.
Jumping on the Spider-Verse train,
I guess.
Right?
I don't even know if it's going to be like a theatrical release.
Oh, that would be interesting. I would hope that they would do that. I mean, obviously, Spider-Verse shows that you can have a really fun superhero-esque animated movie and it turn out great.
I hope more movies do that. I'm so
good luck trying to beat it, though. I think that movie's gonna be really hard to top.
I forget if I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but my girlfriend's the type to, once she sees a movie, she'll never see, like she's very content with never seeing a movie again. She's like, I saw it, I know what happens, it done. But with Spider-Verse, she was just like, I kind of want to go see it again.
That's
like,
cool.
It's that good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can agree with that, though. It is a fun film. I haven't gone out to see it a second time yet, but I would like to.
Shame.
Or maybe I'll just buy it again. Have you seen it yet? Second time?
All right. Well, so what was the topic again?
No, I am happy to see, though, at least just before we end this little topic here for Bumblebee, I'm happy to see that it's getting a sequel. I was really worried for a minute that it wasn't going to, especially when it deserves a sequel more than any of the other Transformers in the past. You know, if there was ever one that needed a sequel, this is one of them. And I was thinking it's just a real shame that it performed so poorly. But if you have been on the fence about seeing this movie, I would highly recommend doing so. Worth every penny.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Peter, you also wanted to talk about Deadpool 3 a little bit.
Yeah, so Ryan Reynolds has, I think it was in a talk with Variety, he said that the Deadpool 3 is officially in development. And it's going to be taken in a different direction because, I'm paraphrasing this last bit here, but he said that oftentimes characters get, their direction changes like 4 movies too late. And so they're kind of doing it a bit sooner in the hopes that the character doesn't get stale. And honestly, I think that's perfectly fine because I enjoyed Deadpool 2, but it did feel kind of samey.
Yeah.
And so I'm totally fine with them trying something different. And then this is a character where it would be very easy to do that because he's already he's already kind of silly, breaking the fourth wall. Like he can get away with anything, really.
True that. I could see that being a good point for the character to kind of change up, but I'm wondering, does that mean they're going to do the opposite and make him more serious then in tone? Is that what the movie's going to be?
Do you think this is being forced because of Disney at all?
I don't think so at all.
You think they're going to let him just do whatever he wants again?
We still don't know whether or not it's going to be R-rated. We didn't even know if a Deadpool 3 was going to happen anymore because an X-Force movie was supposed to be Deadpool 3.
Yes.
But now they're saying that Deadpool 3 is probably going to come out after the X-Force movie.
Yes, I heard the same recently.
So who knows?
Yes.
If they're going to do an X-Force movie, they would have to. I would not go. I would have to go see it for this.
You would have to, yes,
but I would not want to go see it if it's not R-rated.
Okay. Wow. Then Disney, you got to start upping your ante, man.
X-Force was in most iterations, X-Force, the comic book, was very dark, very brutal, very gory, very just in the trenches, cutting people's heads off. Wolverine's a fucking maniac. I think they showed titties a few times.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah. Whoever says Marvel is kiddie shit has not read Marvel comic books before. Like, there's some brutal shit in there.
Oh, sure.
And X-Force was one of the more popular ones.
Wow. Okay, good to know. I never knew that Marvel actually had nudity within their comics.
Oh, yeah.
Really? Okay, gotcha. That was
probably not lately, but
prior Disney days and stuff like that. I feel you. The Disney days are upon us. But no, that's interesting to see. Any thoughts on that though, John? Further?
No, I mean, let's see what he does. I mean, I'm kind of curious to know what's gonna happen because of Disney.
Yeah,
they would be dumb if they didn't let them make another one because of how much money these movies make. But who cares? I
think they're smart enough to let them do. I mean, I believe we mentioned it before, but Disney owns so many different companies, and a lot of those companies, Miramax is the only one that comes to mind, and they make R-rated movies all the time.
But this has the official Marvel logo, unless it's going to be Deadpool with no Marvel logo to it.
It's possible. I mean, they did with Logan. You know, that had the Marvel title on it as well.
Well, I think
they were able to pull off quite a bit.
I would imagine like Fox and Sony have to do it, but they just make it pretty because why not?
Yeah, true that. All right. Well, moving on, Peter, you sent me in a text that Channing Tatum wants to direct Gambit.
Oh, he's not done.
A movie that's probably never going to happen.
Let it die. Just
stick to stripping. Just
let it go with some dignity. Hold on to whatever dignity you have left. Channing Tatum.
He's been going at this movie for like 5 or 6 years.
If he can't star as Gambit, he at least wants to direct it, which sounds great and all. It sounds like a fun idea, but yeah, I just don't see this happening anytime soon.
No.
Great character in an animated sense. I don't know, again, if he'll be pulled off super well on film. I just think they would really have to tone down his costume just a little bit. Like the whole headgear thing going on, the foofy hair. I just don't know if that works.
Of course they would.
Very well.
Have you seen comic book movies these days? They always change them up. They're not going to have them in their
Have you seen Jersey Shore?
Yeah.
It's possible.
Jersey Shore. It's very
pretty
nice.
hot right now. Made a comeback or
yeah.
something. I don't know.
He's going to be from the Jersey Shore.
Fair enough. But I'm just saying, though, I don't really care for this very much. It's no news to me that he would want to still be attached to it in any way that he can, but I'm not that interested ultimately.
Neither am I.
Agreed.
All right. Well, let's
Give
move
it up.
on from that one. Give it up, Channing Tatum. We love your enthusiasm and all, but probably just find something more worth your
Get
time.
an A for effort. Like the biggest A that a human being can possibly get. But
Maybe-
I don't think it's happening, man.
Maybe you can do voiceover for an animated Gambit movie. I might be interested in watching that, but
Maybe they'll let you pose for like a toy.
there you go.
There you
Like
go.
a Gambit toy.
And design it with his likeness.
Yes.
That would be kind of neat, actually. I could see that. They're action
Cut
figures.
your
though.
losses, man. That's all I'm saying.
Well, let's see here. Peter, you also wanted to mention that Edgar Wright's next film is to be a psychological horror film?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I
Interesting
mean,
to
that's
think.
pretty much
Great.
it. That's the story.
That's about it. Okay,
It's
cool.
Edgar Wright. I trust
And
him.
I love Edgar
yeah,
Wright movies.
so I can't really.
I don't think there's got to be one that I don't like.
Okay.
But I can't think of it at the moment. But yeah, his I love his movies. They're fantastic. They're so stylized. They're really fun, and and I like psychological horror. My favorite type of horror is psychological horror. So I'm very interested to see
And
what
you know
his
he's
take
gonna
would be
kill
on
it.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna kill it. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see him do that because, I mean, he's had movies that had slightly, I don't know if I would say horror, but thriller-esque nuances within them. Like Baby Driver was one that where it kind of got intense to a certain degree when the climax starts building,
That
and
movie's
he's
so good.
That movie was fun.
Once the third act gets going, it doesn't stop.
It's
Yep.
bad,
It's so
It's
good.
yeah, big time. John Hamm is the protagonist in that movie, right? Or the antagonist. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Spoiler if you haven't seen Baby Driver.
Yeah, sorry about that, but yeah, things don't work out so well with John Hamm in that movie, or at least he's not so much of a nice guy after a while. Anyway, but yeah, I loved the chase down with him and Baby. That was a really cool little aspect of the movie. That was kind of freaky. And also, At World's End, is that the movie
Yeah.
that he made? At World's End
I've
or something
never
like
seen
that?
that one.
It's a good movie,
I haven't
but
seen that one either,
It, even,
but I've heard
it
it's good.
is also kind of freaky in a way. I mean, it's super hilarious and silly and very Edgar Wright and such. But it does have its own little elements of scariness, similar to, I mean, I don't know. The rest of his movies I just have always seen. There's he does
Shaun of
horror
the
and violence.
Dead,
Yeah,
yeah.
Shaun of the Dead. Even though it's not so much of a scary movie, it definitely does have great special effects within the horror genre, I would say. Like
Yeah.
the zombies are pretty convincing, silly, but the gore aspect
The
is pretty
gore,
fun.
yeah.
The gore is really well
When they
done.
rip apart the guy from the
Yes.
stomach and
Yeah.
you just see the guts coming out, it's like, oh.
Right? So at least you know he'll get the special effects done well. I hope he can pull off the tone. And I feel like he has what it takes. It's just as a director. If anything, though, I would have to say that I look forward to seeing more original Edgar Wright style. Rather, I feel like Baby Driver was quite a departure from what you normally see. I feel like Baby Driver was definitely more of an Americanized style of film
'Cause I don't
rather than
think
his
Baby-
traditional British humor.
Because I don't think prior to Baby Driver, I don't think he's really done big action like set
was gonna
pieces
do
I can't
Ant-Man.
think of him, yeah.
with like not with cars
true.
or anything like that.
He did some Ant-Man. Who knows what parts of
Right.
Ant-Man, but he did Ant-Man.
Probably
Yeah.
the train scene. That'd be my guess. The little dink. Like right when you think it's going to be a huge collision, and then it pans out to not be a big deal.
That definitely feels like Edgar Wright's type of comedy. Like you could still
would feel
feel bits of Edgar Wright in that movie.
Oh yeah, agreed.
You can
Agreed.
still see his influence.
Not to say that Marvel doesn't make great movies alone without him, but yeah, I
was
would
at
say
a-
there were tones in
It
there.
was at a time when they were afraid to take risks. They
That's a
wanted
good
to stick
point.
to their formula, and Edgar Wright was too much of an out there director for them.
Which is too bad
A
because I'm
mistake
sure they
that-
regret that.
A mistake that DC had made several times, but they're also making that change. They're wising up. They're letting directors do their thing.
Yeah, let them have fun with the franchise
Mm-hmm.
and see what their creativity makes. For all you know, I mean, DC? What's the worst that can happen? They have another miss, but at least they can try and do something different. Same with Marvel though as well. So
Real quick before we move on.
yeah, please.
There's also he also mentioned Edgar Wright. That is that there's a script for Baby Driver 2.
Oh.
Who knows if that'll actually ever come out? But
He's never
he
made a
is-
sequel, huh?
He has the Cornello trilogy, but
Yes,
those
I
are
saw
all
the-
disconnected.
Yeah.
Or spiritual
guess he
successors.
Yeah.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah, if anything at all.
Yeah, I guess you're right. He doesn't really have it. So this would potentially be his first sequel. So he says he has a first script written,
Okay.
and that it would take the story further and introduce some new characters as well. So if that ends up coming out, I mean, I think you guys already have heard how much of fans we are of Edgar Wright. So if it ends up happening, I'm in. I think he got my money.
I would be in, but I can't say I'm that interested in seeing that universe get expanded any further. I felt like the way it ended was just fine. I don't want to spoil the ending too much, but yeah, I felt like the way it ended left on a nice note.
Same here.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessary to ever revisit that. Would I watch it? Oh yeah, I would watch it. As far as I mean, I would hope the trailers would be
I
good.
trust
but
Edgar
yeah.
Wright enough to, if he's confident in a sequel, then I would still go see it.
Yeah.
This, and like we just mentioned, this would be his first sequel. So if he has enough faith to even write a script for a sequel, which he's never done before, then I'm in.
True that. Okay. Very good. All right. Well, then to move on before we get into our main topic, really quick, just got to shameless plug us, though. Let me see here. If you have any questions or topics that you would want us to bring up in future episodes so we can shout you out, go ahead and send us an email at stgeekpod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at STGeekPod. Again, if you have any questions or topics, let us know. But without further ado, boys, let's get into the worst comic book movies of all time to date. Anyway, so starting off, I just pulled up a list on the internet here just so we can have some examples to work off of. The first one it names is Spider-Man 3 from 2007.
I hate that movie so much.
It's
so
pretty bad. Yeah.
I was a younger lad at this time. It's 12 years old now, and so let me see. I would have to say that I had fun for like the first half hour of that movie. And then, what did I say last night? John and I were talking.
You stopped having fun once he started having fun.
Essentially so. Like, once Peter Parker started dancing around and wearing black turtlenecks and putting down his bangs a certain way. Yeah, it was like he discovered a darker side within himself. It just, it just took away. It was like, am I still watching a Spider-Man movie at that point? Which I think is a lot of people's criticisms. What do you guys think?
This movie was so bad that people actually said that Sam Raimi purposely directed it because they forced him to put Venom in. That's how bad this movie is. Yep. People actually had to give him a reason on why the movie was so bad. Terrible.
I feel bad for Tobey Maguire. He had to do those dance moves. Like, that's what they made him
like
do.
He enjoyed it.
and Sam Raimi was even supposed to get a sequel. He was supposed to get a Spider-Man 4.
Wow.
Which never happened.
Never happened. Nope.
I would hope that they would have cleaned up the tone for that one, but I mean, that never came to light. Will never come to light.
It went in development, too, before it got canceled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I did not know that.
That was a real thing. There was a villain. I think it was supposed to be Vulture.
It was Vulture, and I think Mysterio was supposed to make an appearance as well.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. One little thumbs up I'll give towards the movie is I did like Sandman's character. I liked his motivations and such like that, but
great actor, yeah.
Yeah, great actor. He's good in everything I see him in. It's too bad that a good story with that character was bogged down by so much I guess maybe unintentional hilarity or just hilarity in the lack of quality within that movie, I'd have to say.
It was just too many characters. It was all over the place. They introduced Gwen Stacy in that movie.
Sure.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Venom obviously was in there. Just kind of, you could feel just how thrown in there he is. Like there was no backstory given whatsoever.
Actor to put for Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, I love that 70s show.
Topher Grace is a cool actor and all, but obviously not so. And his acting career hasn't really sparked since then. He left 70s show, didn't he?
From my understanding, to do this movie, he left that 70s show.
Yeah, I wonder how long it took in development that he realized that he made a mistake.
Well, it was on its last season at that point.
That's true as well.
So, John, you've mentioned this before, and I totally agree. But I think Topher Grace, after seeing his performance in Predators, I think he would have made a much better Carnage.
100%.
Interesting, more deceitful and such like that.
And kind of
have you seen Predators,
crazy.
AJ?
Yes, I have, and I like that movie actually. That
He's
was a
really
good movie.
good in it, yeah. Because he does play a good psycho killer. I'll say that.
Yes, very sinister in his own way, and yet still likable at the same time. Like he still has that same Topher Grace charm that we all know him for, but with a dark side to himself.
It's a great sociopath story. It could have been.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Because he could have played everybody, but secretly been killing everybody.
Yep,
for sure.
Well,
that would have made. But that will never happen.
Oh no! Don't say this title, AJ.
Justice League 2017.
Actually, it wasn't too bad.
It was fun. We all had
I
fun.
had fun with it. The CG was not the greatest.
Do you think this has to do with the fact that Batman vs Superman was so bad
100%.
that it desensitized us?
100%. That's why I enjoyed the movie. I was like, well, at least it's not BVS.
You turn off your brain, you sit down, and that's it, right?
You could just see the polarity within the two tones of these movies, though. Like, you had BVS, which was dark, gritty, dark, Martha. And then you get Justice League, which is the opening scene of Batman jumping around like a comic book character again. It kind of harkened back to, we might bring this up later, some of the older, like George Clooney, Val Kilmer Batman movies. Just the way the combat was a little silly, a little bit, but there was like one line he says when they first started fighting. What's the villain, Steppenwolf? When the first time Batman meets Steppenwolf, and he's like, "Oh, he's kind of cool," or whatever. I don't know. It was just
I don't even remember that line.
very silly Batman. I thought it was a little out of character from what we've experienced from Batman recently.
I think he was out of character a lot in that movie.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I wonder how Ben Affleck felt about playing Batman in Justice League, because it was such a stark difference from what he had to do in BVS.
Well, I'll say this: he did have to go to rehab. So
Wow.
he definitely drank a lot.
Drank his sorrows
Started
away.
hitting the bottle quite a bit. Yep.
Much love, Ben Affleck. I mean, I'm sorry
He's a
that you had to
great
deal
actor,
with
I
all
like
this.
a lot of your work, Ben
Yeah.
Affleck. I'm sorry you got forced
fucked.
into this.
Again, he wrote. Am I getting the movie wrong? Argo? Didn't he write that?
Is it Argo?
Or
Yeah.
Fargo?
I get the two mixed up.
I
So
do
one of
all
them's a
the
TV
time.
show, and
Yes.
one of them's the movie. He directed the movie, whichever one's the
It's the
movie.
He directed the movie, which was very well received,
And then also
critically
The
acclaimed.
Town, which
Yes.
was also very well received and a very good movie.
I just don't understand, with these accomplishments that he has, why won't DC let him write, direct, star a movie?
I think he purposely backed out. Like he
Okay.
was supposed to. He's the one that decided that he didn't want to direct it anymore.
Right? He stepped into this universe and he backstepped his way out. Like, oh,
Because I
maybe
think
not.
at the time they were just like, okay, we're all in. We'll give you everything you want. And then after BVS came out, they started pulling away some of the promises that they had given, and he was just like, I don't even want to do this anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. If they're
This
not
isn't the
giving what they
project I signed
promised,
up
why?
for.
Oh yeah, I was so excited. When they first announced he was gonna be Batman, I was one of the few who was very excited about it.
I was super excited.
I was so hype.
I was a little skeptical, but I like
Yeah.
him.
Most people were. They were like, Ben Affleck, isn't he too old? I didn't. I just cared that he was writing and directing the movie, and anything he's in, it's usually good. Usually,
Yep.
Usually.
except the movie we're talking about.
which is Justice League. It was a fun mishmash of characters and everything like that. There were some characters I didn't care for, like Cyborg. Even though I liked the actor's work, I didn't get to fall in love with the character. I didn't care about him very much. It shows him have a struggle for about 5 minutes where he's conflicted within himself, if he's even human anymore. Why did his dad bring him back to life? Spoilers. And then you have the Flash, which I guess you like because he's funny. Ezra Miller does a good job as the Flash, but you don't really get much of an origin other than he's autistic. That's about it. And he runs really fast and he trips over things a lot. But I did like the dynamic
you get that
between.
origin?
Pardon me?
They say he's autistic in the movie?
I thought that was the take that Ezra Miller is going with, that he's going with an autistic character.
Oh, okay.
Because he doesn't really communicate well with others. He keeps to himself
He says
alone.
he doesn't really have any friends. I believe.
I guess.
It's
Yeah,
Okay.
and
I can
I
see
believe that was the intention of Ezra Miller, and maybe the writers as well. And the direction was to be more of an autistic character. But I mean, he didn't seem that antisocial. But then again, he was probably more high functioning.
How come the
autistic.
Flash didn't know how to fucking run?
Yeah, that was a
He
little silly.
ran like a man who had never run before in his entire life. Like, it doesn't make... That's your power. You run fast. How do you not know how to run?
Right? Like actually physically do
Yeah.
the movement.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I don't know. I did like the little fun parts between him and Superman though in that movie.
The running scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was really good. That
Like
was
when
really
he's trying to
great.
run behind Superman, but then Superman's holding everyone else back.
And he's watching
while
him run.
following.
And then he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, that scene was pretty great.
I love that scene. Again, it's a fun movie. It's just not what I wanted from Justice League at all. I think that saga needed, or the buildup of that movie needed to happen for like another at least couple movies, I feel.
They did that early Marvel thing where the villain was very boring. It wasn't a very good... In the comic books, Steppenwolf was really good.
Great. Yeah.
But, yeah, he's just a...
whatever.
This was, their third or fourth hulking gray CGI monster that they fight at the end.
Yeah, fair point.
His
And
character design looked like shit. They didn't really give you too much backstory. That flashback scene with the war against, like, the Atlanteans and
the Green Lantern.
and that part was pretty cool.
yeah, that was a cool cameo. That, oh crap, the Green Lanterns are part of this story, I guess, so to
I found
speak.
it funny that Green Lantern, whatever that lantern was, like, died immediately.
Yeah.
Like, immediately.
Oh, and they showed
then
the
they showed
ring.
the ring.
Yeah.
Like, do the thing.
I thought that was pretty cool.
A little tease, I guess, for the movie that may or may not come out.
I forgot there was supposed to be
Green
a
Lantern
movie, right?
Corps.
It was supposed
Yep.
to have both of them, right? Both main ones.
Both who?
The black Green Lantern and the white
John
one?
Stewart and... Why am I blanking on the other dude's name? Hal Jordan.
Hal Jordan.
Nice. Well, we'll see. In any case, Justice League, it's like a solid B. Not that it's a B movie. Not that it's a B movie, but it's just Out of what
it
we've
kinda
seen
is.
recently, yeah.
I think it's more of a C.
I give it like a C plus B minus, like
Okay.
right around there.
I can agree with that.
I think like Superman is B. I think this movie's C.
Okay.
I
Like
think
Man of Steel, Superman.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
better than Justice League.
I
think I'd agree with that.
I might.
think
agree
I
with
put it
that.
at a B mostly because it wasn't Batman v Superman. Like going back to what
That's
you said
the bar.
earlier.
That's
yeah.
yeah. Nothing's gonna go under that.
We'll see. We have some hitters here. So we have Amazing Spider-Man. Starring, what is his name? Garfield. Yeah.
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield.
I have no complaints.
2012.
It was fun.
It's
It was
fine.
a fun movie.
I
It was
liked it.
cool.
It was nothing special.
Yeah, I almost want to meld these two together. This and the sequel with Jamie Foxx
Yeah.
as the villain, Electro.
The second one wasn't as great. I got really bored halfway.
Yeah, same here.
It was a fun movie to watch with my dad. I think I watched both of them with him. And I feel like sometimes, for whatever reason, I like watching movies with my dad. And it's just a fun little time we get to have together. So I feel like I enjoy the movies more. And I kind of turn off my brain to the fact that what I'm watching isn't so great just because I'm having a good time with him.
Yeah.
So I think I give the movie more credit than it's due.
I think I liked
Ultimately,
Andrew
it was fun.
Garfield.
Yeah,
I liked Emma. Which Emma was it? Was it Emma Stone?
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone as
Yes.
Gwen Stacy was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I liked her a lot.
I like that they actually had Gwen Stacy as the main romantic interest as opposed to Mary Jane.
It switched it up
yeah,
as far as what
and
we've seen in
it's also
cinema.
more true to the comic books. Like in the comic books, Mary Jane didn't become a thing until way later in the comic book run.
After high school.
Much later than that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh yeah. So I thought that was fun. Like it had some things going for it, but they were much like BVS, and I've said this before. That it had Iron Man 2 syndrome. They were trying to build a universe in this one movie, so it was just all over the fucking place.
I can understand.
They're trying to set up the Sinister Six. There's that deleted scene, or I think it was an alternate ending where turns out his dad was still alive.
Oh wow!
Oh, I forgot about that scene.
Because I think that was supposed to lead into after that Sony leak that happened so many years ago. They were saying that they were going to have an Aunt May like spin-off movie
I
where
forgot about
where
that. She
like
was
it turns out they worked for
espionage?
Shields or
Yeah.
something like that, and I think that was supposed to tie in with that. Like it was.
That sounds crazy ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm glad
You're
it
not wrong.
didn't come to fruition, but I think it's a shame because, again, I agree. I think Andrew Garfield was a fun Peter Parker. I thought he was cool. He had the look down. I thought he had the tone of the character down, kind of very snarky and such, but ultimately it just wasn't a good combination of elements to make a good movie, or a sequel, that is, as well.
Right.
So, next up, speaking of Marvel characters, we have Hulk from 2003, starring Eric Bana. Like Eric Bana as an actor, think he's really cool. Think he's an intimidating figure for sure. Dude is really big. He's like built like an ox.
Yeah.
Which shows. But Hulk 2003. What are you guys' thoughts?
God,
Terrible.
I haven't seen it. Since
Oh, never saw it?
since it came out.
Oh, okay.
I saw it in theaters.
I did
And I
see
was
it in
like,
theaters
what?
as well.
Why is he just a big Jello man? Like they shoot him and he just bloop, 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 like the
bullets kinda bounce
so
off of him.
weird. It's
I
so
don't know.
And he's really green.
I
Really green.
my big problem with this movie, and maybe others disagree, but the rabid, gigantic poodle and bulldog.
That was very bizarre.
That was unnecessary. So bad. Isn't there a scene where he grabs one of them by the hind legs and pushes them in the crotch, like in the dick?
Yeah, that does ring a bell.
I don't know.
Then he fights with the Cloud.
Yeah, I was gonna say his
He
villain
fights
ends up
with the
being
Cloud.
his dad as a cloud, and he like punches the cloud or something.
This is gonna be two movies we're talking about with evil clouds as the villain in the end. Oh man, but
It's
yeah,
so bizarre. And then like he beats the cloud by like because the cloud wants his Hulk power, and then he gives him the Hulk power, and then he's like, it hurts. And
I can't take it.
Yeah,
yes,
this movie sucks.
it was pretty awful.
I kind of enjoyed, at least at the time, the comic book thing that they tried with the panels.
Oh yeah, that was
I
a
thought
fun
that
little
was kind of
editing
fun.
aspect. Yeah,
By no means did it make the movie any worse. It was already bad. So they tried.
I said one bad thing about this movie, but one good thing I'll say. There used to be this store near my house, really huge department store called The Great Indoors. I don't know if they even exist anymore.
Oh yeah, I remember
But there
that
was
one.
this home theater room in there, and they would show different demos of movies with like this great surround sound room. It was awesome, and you could control the volume however you wanted. And there's the scene where he's fighting in like, is it the Grand Canyon that he's like jumping miles through, and there's like helicopters and jets shooting missiles at him
He's
and
hopping
such.
around in the desert a few scenes.
There
yeah.
you go. Well, he's in some sort of canyon, if you will.
Yeah.
And that sound quality of that scene is awesome. I had a really fun time. I would go in there every now and then and just chill out, watch the scene, and then drive myself home. I had a fun time watching that, but that took a surround sound room dedicated to that scene for that movie to look cool at all. But otherwise, ultimately,
I'm sorry
a total
it was that
miss.
movie and not a better one.
I know, I agree, but it was still a fun scene. But yeah, I ultimately I agree. I wish it was something better. Maybe Infinity War or something like that. Who knows? Either way.
I also like to think that this movie is still sort of canon with the current MCU, because the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton, it sort of
it's supposed to kind
follow-up.
of like
it's like a
follow-up.
loose sequel to that movie.
I totally
because the
forgot
first one
that.
ends with him in like South America, and then
Yes.
the next one starts with him, and they already kind of established the history that he's been the Hulk before, and like he already has this thing.
Yes.
So yeah, in a fun way, if you really want to stretch it,
And that line's really thin.
really
but-
thin, it's sort of
Oh
canon.
no!
I thought they did a good job of not making that movie an origin story, so to speak, even though it
They didn't
was
need
like
to.
and I'm glad they did. And ultimately, like you said, Peter, they didn't really need to.
Ang Lee's Hulk came out in 2003?
Yeah.
And then the Incredible Hulk movie, I believe, came out in 2007.
2007, yeah,
Yes.
same year as Iron
So,
Man, I believe.
mean, they didn't really need to do that whole thing over again.
Agreed. I'm just glad that they knew better than to do that. Moving on, though, more Marvel
God.
stuff. Again,
Look
just
at that
because Marvel's on top of
CGI.
the world now doesn't mean it always was.
no.
Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver
Well,
Surfer.
let's talk about the first Fantastic Four.
Okay, let's touch on it. Go ahead.
That one I liked. I didn't think it
was
was
cool.
the greatest, but it had like, if you enjoyed the original 3 X-Men movies, because there was no standard for superhero movies back then.
Yeah.
So if you watched it like that, it was a good movie.
It was of the same tier, for sure. Yeah.
It was fine,
Yeah.
I think.
I like
It's not
Chris Evans
great.
as Human Torch. He was really good.
He was really fun. I think the characters are pretty good.
Michael Chiklis was a really funny thing. I love that he was kind of the comic relief.
I
in
like that they
movie.
gave him that
The
he
human
wasn't
punching
CGI,
bag.
that he actually had prosthetics.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was fun.
was great.
practical effects.
I did like Doctor Doom.
I didn't know if I believed
What?
the things.
I was gonna say
rocked,
that was
though.
one of the biggest things I hated
You
about
didn't
this
like
movie.
the actor?
No, not at all.
I like
Nip
the
Tuck?
actor,
No,
but Nip
Yeah, I was gonna say Nick Tuck. Yeah. Whatever happened to him?
he made Fantastic
And
Four
that was it, right?
yeah,
and the sequel.
he was in two of
the
those.
sequel-
He wasn't big enough at the time to salvage his career after that.
That's all right. He made his millions from Nip Tuck. I'm sure he's fine. I would hope he's fine
yeah,
anyway.
sure.
I'm sure he's still a working actor.
He's
just
like
we don't
knocking
really
on
see him
our
around.
window, like in the cold right now.
Oh,
just looking
God.
through, like, help me.
Let us know where you are, sir.
But then Silver Surfer definitely was awful.
Okay, so the picture of the film that I see on the internet right now, it's the scene where Human Torch is chasing down the Silver Surfer.
By the way,
It-
spoilers for all these movies, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
They're
if
all
you haven't
old,
seen them
and
within
also
12
you're not
years.
missing much if you haven't seen them.
I don't know. This is world class CGI right here. You're missing out if you're not watching this.
I actually thought Silver Surfer looked really cool. I thought the CG was awesome.
I thought.
That was
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the picture now. And this is 2005.
Like it doesn't look that bad.
16-year-old John wasn't that smart. That's not great CGI, AJ.
Fair
Human
enough.
Torch looks okay, but yeah, Silver Surfer looks...
I like that they at least have like the flame reflections of him on Silver Surfer's body. I thought that was a cool little touch. Like they thought to do that.
Galactus was terrible.
Yeah,
They had the nod to Super Skrull in this one.
Yeah.
I forgot that Galactus has been part of the Marvel universe, even though it's prior official MCU that we know it of as today. I forgot that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this whole movie, the climax makes this whole movie not make any sense, because the climax is Invisible Woman convinces Silver Surfer to stand up to Galactus, and he does. So he could have done this so long. He could have done this the entire time. He could have. He's millions are dead because Silver Surfer didn't just flex on in the Galactus cloud or whatever the hell he did.
Yeah.
Like he could have done this way sooner.
God, how many clouds
This whole
are
movie
there?
doesn't make sense.
How many evil clouds are there within the Marvel universe, or just comic book movie universe? Dear God, there's another one I'm thinking of now.
Now it's the hulking CGI monsters. I think that's the new trend.
Something like
Yeah.
that. For me, I was saying earlier before we recorded this, I liked the first like 20 minutes or so of the movie. When Silver Surfer comes in, I thought it was really cool. The chase scene with the Human Torch and Silver Surfer, that was really fun and such. And you get to see how powerful Silver Surfer is for a moment. And then they take his powers from him, taking what's cool about Silver Surfer away, and you're left with just a grayed out, boring character.
Just a gray alien monster man.
Yeah, was not very entertaining at that point. I was like, everything just kind of fell off from there. But yeah, ultimately, wonky movie. Amazing Spider-Man 2, that was next on the list. We talked about that. Nothing crazy or special about it.
Oh, the infamous.
Here we go. Again, Ben Affleck, not always in amazing movies. Daredevil 2003.
God, he's been in 2 awful superhero movies. Give
the
it
guy
up.
just can't win.
Yeah, just move on.
Talk to us, John. What are your feels for Daredevil?
I don't remember it too well. I just remember seeing it once and thinking this movie was awful. Oh my God. Why did I watch Elektra?
You should have learned your lesson from Daredevil.
This movie was awful when I watched Elektra.
Well, Jennifer Garner looked cute in her outfit. I can't help you. I can't blame you there, I guess.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
Look at the
John
suit.
was attracted to something, and
Exactly.
it wasn't the movie.
No.
Right.
Look at the leather. He's wearing a leather Daredevil suit.
It's a tight turtleneck leather costume. I love it. Wow.
Yeah.
And it has like a nice little like choker collar on it as well. Oh my God.
I'll say this.
Shit.
I'm very happy that they did the Netflix because they showed how great the character actually is.
Yeah.
Good to know. I still have not seen either season. I need to get on that. Actually,
You should. Even though they canceled it, it's still great.
I'm sure it's still great.
Oh, yeah.
If anything, I was kind of surprised hearing how much praise that show gets. Even though I heard season 2 might fall off just slightly.
But then 3
brings it back.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
I haven't seen 3.
And yet for that to happen, and yet they still cancel it, that's kind of shocking and too bad. But I mean,
It's business.
Fox has been known for that as well. So hey,
That reminds me, I was supposed to bring this up in in news, but Punisher season 2 happened. I haven't seen it yet. I don't really know what the reception of it is.
It's getting terrible reviews.
Really?
Yeah, they're ripping it apart.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, that makes this news even funnier because the director said that he wants, for season 3, he wants to incorporate the Daredevil and Kingpin.
oh okay,
Well, it's not going to happen.
we'll see. But yeah, I thought
pretty strong
Netflix series were
optimism
done
on his part, I think, especially having just heard that the reviews aren't too great. And the fate of all the other Netflix TV shows have all but been destroyed. I think his and Jessica Jones, the Punishers, that is, and Jessica Jones are the only ones that haven't officially been canned yet. It's probably going to happen soon. Jessica Jones season 3 is in development, or it should be. I think it's in post-production.
Yeah.
So
they're probably going to wait till it comes out before they officially kill everybody's dreams. The deed is dead. The dream is dead.
Speaking of another dream possibly being dead, we've been picking on Marvel for a little bit. It's DC's turn. Green Lantern from 2011, starring none other than Ryan Reynolds. Huh. Yeah.
I think him and Chris Evans were like in a secret competition to see who can be in the most comic book movies.
Sure.
Because they've both been in a lot of
quite
them.
a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
White Trinity, Green Lantern.
Chris
Wolverine.
Evans was in The Losers. He's been Captain America, Fantastic Four, I'm sure.
Isn't a train wreck based off of a graphic
I think it's based
novel?
on a
It's a manga?
Manga? I don't
Graphic
think it's a comic.
novel?
It might be a graphic novel. I think you're right. I think it's a graphic novel.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Oh, now I kind of almost want to say manga. I don't know. I forget. I remember being surprised though when I heard about it.
It's based on something. Yeah, it was something out of the ordinary. It wasn't because I don't think it was a novel. It was something a bit more visual.
Definitely not just a straight up novel. Yeah. It must have been graphic or manga, something like that.
Somebody's screaming at us right now.
Yes,
for not
right.
knowing.
It's this. Let us know. Anyway, but yeah, Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. What do you guys think about this one?
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
It's a DC movie.
Technically a DC movie.
Wow.
It was the beginning of the end.
I think he met Blake Lively in this, which is now his wife.
Oh,
so
wow.
That was a thing.
Well, good for them.
Yeah,
then.
there you
See, something
go.
great
Something
did come from this pile of trash.
Yep.
Again, this is the movie I was talking about where another evil cloud occurs as the main villain at
Oh
the end.
shit! I forgot about
That giant fart cloud, yeah. And just this movie has to have the most hideous villain in any film I've ever seen. Like, if you haven't seen this movie, don't want to spoil it too much. Just know that the evil character becomes sinister with power, and the power overtakes his body to where his body can no longer contain it, and he just looks like a disgusting, brainy mess. I don't know.
What one of my
Looks like
complaints
Mother
about this
Brain
movie
from
was?
Metroid.
What happened?
Looks like Mother Brain from Metroid.
Oh,
good point.
that's a great
That's a
one.
good
Yes. Was he went to the Green Lantern Corp and he was a pro in like a day.
Yeah.
That was like they rushed that so much. There was no journey of him getting the power. It's just He's great at it.
It's Ryan Reynolds.
It was also really, I don't know. This whole movie was pretty cartoony.
Yeah.
Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it just wasn't executed well. The CGI looked horrible. The costume
Even for back
looked
then,
ridiculous.
it looked kind of bad.
The costume looked ridiculous.
Yeah, look at the
The
costume.
scenes where he was training, it was like the Star Wars prequels. Like the entire set, everything was just CGI. It just looked awful.
Yeah, not a treat for the eyes at all.
Nope.
I liked Ryan Reynolds as Ryan Reynolds as himself, but then when he actually started becoming Green Lantern, I don't know, didn't care that much for it. I thought he captured the serious emotions well, though, when he's saying the Green Lantern chant. That was kind of fun, but ultimately he was saying it to an evil villain that I didn't like at all. Again, very hideous, and I'm sorry to say, I just didn't really care for this movie whatsoever. Ultimately disappointing.
I don't think anybody cared for it.
No, there's another DC movie I want to talk about. We'll get into that later.
Somebody who was 3
We'll
years
say that
old
one
at
for
the
that.
time of that movie coming out that's yelling at us right now.
That's okay.
That's my favorite comic book movie.
Hey, great for them. I'm happy. Let's throw back to
Enjoy
Marvel
it. You're
really
wrong,
quick.
but
I'm
have
not
fun.
very knowledgeable in this one, but Ghost Rider 1 and 2.
One was awful. Never seen part
Never
two.
saw the second one. The first
Didn't
one
care to see
is pretty terrible.
Now, was Nicolas Cage, because again, I haven't seen either. How was Nicolas Cage in this? Was he Nicolas Cage?
was
Yes,
Nicolas Cage,
he
yeah.
Was he
Nicolas Cage.
really?
Yeah.
The first time he transforms, he's very Nicolas Cage.
Wow.
Just kind of going to like the screams that he does.
Really?
They're just very silly and kind of off tone a little bit.
Oh,
Who okayed a
God.
part two?
I don't know. It blew my fucking mind when they announced a sequel to that.
Oh my god.
And when did the sequel come out? Because I think the MCU was already getting going.
It came out
Yeah.
4 years after the original, which was the sequel was in 2011.
Yeah.
who
What the fuck?
They gave it 4 years to go into production and turned out another terrible one.
I have actually heard this one is better than the first one.
I have heard the
I've
same,
that,
but I don't
I
know if
wouldn't
I'm
watch
willing
it.
to
Give
watch
it a review.
Maybe we should do a review.
Watch it. Just,
We should. That sounds like fun. Just a fun excuse to watch a terrible movie.
Terrible.
Terrible I
well, we
guess,
have
saga.
to. We
At
have
the
to see the
very-
first one.
Oh, of course, yeah. I'm
Leading
down.
to the second.
I'm
one.
sorry you guys have to watch it for a second time, but I'll
my
take it.
God.
I just remembered that Blackheart was the villain in the first
And it
one.
was just a dude.
Oh, wow.
It was just a dude.
He was like pale.
Yeah, and then I think at the end you kind of get a glimpse of something of a demon form, but that was it.
Yeah.
Does his penance stare, which I guess is cool. There's another cloud enemy in that movie. He like whips. He like
Are you
he like
serious?
heats. He uses the chain to like heat up some cloud person, some cloud
Oh my
demon or some
gosh.
shit.
Clouds are the go-to.
Clouds.
Clouds are the new thing, or at least they were back in the early 2000s. Oh my God! All right, well, moving on, we have more Marvel again. The throne of Marvel was not so high once upon a time.
Mm-hmm.
X-Men Origins Wolverine. John, open us up, sir.
Well, it's a movie.
Yep.
There's definitely CGI in it. Some of the best CGI.
Wow.
It will go. Yes, it will go down in history.
Our first
as
People-
the best.
The CGI of today is based on the CGI from that
Specifically, the Wolverine scene where he's looking at his claws.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot
The
about
best
that.
CGI on the planet.
How
Who designs it?
you can see the budget for this one.
But who okays it?
That's a
You don't
great
got
point.
you don't have enough money to finish the CGI. You just got to release it as is.
I guess
Put
so.
foam.
Right?
It would look
Anything
better.
else, right? That's so true.
It was awful.
They were so fucking huge too. Like in that
Yeah.
scene in particular, his claws were fucking ginormous. It was ridiculous.
Deadpool was trash in this one.
That was our first seeing of Deadpool within, I guess, cinema history,
In
at
any-
least to my knowledge.
yes,
Yeah, which
any
I liked him.
adaptation.
He was a great character before they shut him up and sewed his mouth shut.
He was fun.
Yeah,
He was Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds, which there's nothing wrong with that. He's very funny.
yeah. He
And
does
it was
a great
before
job.
he became. I don't think they ever call him by name by Deadpool. Is that his code name?
I think they do call him
I think he
Deadpool.
Okay.
brings it up once, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Because I
But
think
the-
they
but-
also call him a merc with the mouth, or
Something like they make a reference to it. I think
Yeah.
Stryker it says something like that, like you'd be the perfect soldier if it weren't for your mouth or some shit
Yeah.
like that.
True. I don't know why they thought Will.i.am would be a good
Terrible.
addition to the cast
He
in
was
this movie.
Wraith. He was
He was riding out the fame of Black Eyed Peas.
I
Obviously,
will
you know?
say I did love the scene with Deadpool where he goes into with the swords and
swords.
he's reflecting
Yeah.
the bullets.
That was
slicing
pretty
him in
cool.
half or
That
whatever.
was fucking amazing.
That was cool. Again, and then they shut him up and then put spikes in his hands and turned him into something Deadpool isn't. And ultimately was not a
The
good scene.
only other thing I liked about this movie, I believe it's this movie, is it leads into First Class. I believe the way it ends, they save kids. I don't know if that's the second Wolverine. Yeah, no, it is this one. They save the mutants that are trapped by Stryker.
It doesn't really lead.
And
into
Xavier
First Class.
saves them as kids.
But it could be those same
First
kids
Class
that are
came
now
out right
older.
after. It was like the nod and the wink that First Class was going to happen.
But when you look at First Class,
it's completely different. Well,
it's not
they're all
the
in
same.
different universes. We've talked about this. None of it makes sense.
What's the timeline on releases for these two things? Because I don't think First Class. I want to say First Class came out a few years after Origins.
It did. It came out for sure after Origins.
Oh, definitely.
Because
Yeah.
I don't think First Class was even planned until, because originally, you remember, they were supposed to X-Men Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine. There was supposed to be an X-Men Origins Magneto as well, and they kind of implemented that into what became First Class.
First Class came out in 2011.
Okay.
And when did Origins come out?
Origins came out in...
Come on,
2007, 2008?
Oh my God.
2009.
Yeah,
So
that's
3
3 years.
later.
It was
Yeah.
already at
3 years
least
later.
writing scripts for this movie at that point. I'm telling you, it was a nod and a wink.
They
Like,
had it in the
we
works,
knew First
obviously.
Class was happening at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. You're right. All right, well, moving on.
guess they didn't have
Unfortunately,
anybody
I
cast
really
for
don't
it.
have that much time left before I have to leave for work. I hate that because there are a lot of other terrible movies out there, but
I mean, we could have woken up earlier, like somebody suggested. But
yeah, I'm sorry. I have work. I didn't want to be exhausted for work, or for the pod for that matter either. Anyway, let's moving on. We have to save the Big Mama for last. If you guys do want to ever hear another episode of us talking about more terrible comic book movies, though, let us know. Again, at STGeekPod on Twitter and Instagram. If you want a sequel to this episode, more than happy to do so. But we do have Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, 2016. Talk to me, boys. Peter, what are your thoughts
I'm so
opening up?
tired of talking about
Yeah,
this movie, to
I
be
mean-
totally honest.
I never thought I
this
would
movie
hate
is-
something as much as I
I
did
really do.
until I saw
Like-
this movie. The worst
think-
part is people love it.
The people love it. That's the thing.
That's not even pointing anybody out that we know. It's just, why do people like this movie?
Like, if you like it, that's fine. You like it. It doesn't bother me so much that people like it. If you like it, that's fine. But people are so loud about how much they like it. They're so loud about how it's the best movie ever, and Zack Snyder killed it, and he
killed it.
and they're so wrong. There's so many
my
misguided souls.
I mean, art is,
Art is subjective. That's fine.
But to call this movie art is something else, though, entirely.
You know how there's those people who love stick figures and they think that's art? Yeah, those people are retarded.
easy, pal. I feel
Like,
you
you can like something. That's fine. I'm not
Yes.
taking that away from you. If you like it, you like it. But it's bad.
Okay.
Just accept that it's bad. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. I like the Super Mario Brothers movies.
Yeah.
The movie.
Yeah.
The live action movie.
It's
I
super
love
fun.
it. It's great. It's fun. I watched
you
it as a
know
kid.
how bad
but
it
it's
is.
bad.
Yes.
And I know it's
At
bad.
least you're aware of it.
I'm very much aware. It is a horrible, horrible movie, but I love it. They just love it, and they think it's not a good movie.
They think it's a sincerely great film.
Yes, but it's not. It's so far from it. It is not good.
The hate is growing within this room. It's actually getting warmer.
It had so much potential. I was so excited.
Of course, it has
for
all the
this.
potential in the
build-up,
world.
even the trailer, the teaser trailer where it shows Superman in the sky,
Yeah.
the Batman looking
God.
up. I mean, that got me so hyped. I was like, oh,
Hell yeah.
finally.
Trailers got me excited and ultimately
Finally, that's
disappointing.
Yes, that's the best way. Finally, like after decades,
And then
we
there
got
was all those
Superman movies,
reports,
we got Batman movies.
People watching them, the test screening, and they got standing ovations.
Yep.
And
Well, because the super fans are who's going out to see these pre-screenings as early as possible, which makes sense as to why it gets standing ovations. But once the general audience comes in and it's people not necessarily super fans of the franchise, that's when you start to see more of a general idea of
I'm
how
a fan
things
of the
are.
franchise, and it sucks.
I know.
It's so bad.
I've said it before on here, and I'll say it again. Upon second and following viewings from then, I enjoy the movie more. I think just because I'm more aware of the faults, and so I can see past them a little more. Whatever it may be psychologically within me that allows me to to accept its faults and still enjoy the movie, I do enjoy the movie.
They
And I think
ruined
it's really
Doomsday. How are fans not up in arms at the fact that they ruined Doomsday, one of Superman's coolest villains? They fucking shoehorned the death of Superman storyline into this movie, and it sucked. God!
I thought the final fight scene was fun.
If you're a fan of the comic books, you love Batman v Superman. Why aren't you mad that Doomsday is horrible?
Yeah.
Why aren't you mad that he's a gray hulking CGI monster?
Peter, calm down.
They don't give him any
He's hitting things in the
backstory.
room.
God!
I will say this.
Please.
There's one piece of scene that just shines in the whole movie, and it's when Batman clears out the room. That's the only scene I really.
I love
but
that
you gotta
sequence,
ignore the fact
but
that he killed people and.
No, I love that scene. It's a great scene, but it happens too late. It happens too late. By the time that scene happened, I lost all interest in this movie, and I was just waiting for it to end. I didn't get to enjoy it because I was so bored by the time it happened.
That's fair. Yeah, that movie went on a little too long, and it's not that I dislike longer movies. In fact, I enjoy them a little bit more. I become more invested, but this movie was just kind of laborious in the end. It didn't have much going for it. Even though it had everything going for it, potentially speaking, it should have been the movie that we talk about for the rest of our lives as being the pinnacle of comic book movies, so to speak. And yet, it turned out to be quite the opposite in the end. It's a sad story. I'm hoping that one day in the next generation of filmmakers, they will do justice and have a true dawn of justice and make Batman vs Superman what it needs to be, what it should have been all along. But unfortunately, we have this to work with for now.
Why is Batman an idiot in this movie? Why is he so fun? He's supposed to be the world's greatest detective.
Right?
Why does he take kryptonite and put it in a gas canister? He starts that fight by shooting bullets at Superman. Make kryptonite bullets. He would have been dead in a second.
seconds,
Are you
yeah.
fucking stupid? And then, not to mention the fact that he gets tricked into fighting Superman in the first place.
Tricked into it. That's pretty sad, but it's so true.
God.
But Martha.
But
Martha. Dude.
Right? Yeah, don't forget about the saving grace of the entire ending of the film. The reason why Superman doesn't die earlier in the film, I guess, spoilers for a movie that's probably a lot of people have seen already anyway. So we probably should have mentioned spoilers a long time ago, but yeah. Either way. Movie, pretty imperfect.
It sounds like it's a buy for Peter.
Takes so much out
it's
of
a buy it. I like the movie personally, but again, it took me a long time to start appreciating it, despite how unsatisfactory it was the first few times I watched it. Yeah. Anything else you guys have to say about this movie?
I guess they the fight scene with Batman and
It's
Superman was
pretty
pretty
fun.
cool. That was fun.
I liked the fight scene when Wonder Woman came in and
the
started
guitar
fighting
riff
Doomsday.
for Wonder Woman.
Hell yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I liked it a lot. I thought that fight scene was good. I thought it was pretty good CGI as well. I can't really complain. I mean, there was a couple scenes where maybe Wonder Woman looked a little fake when she was running and sliding and diving and doing all
That's
their
just
shit.
because it was
Oh
a
my
big
God,
CGI
you know what's-
fuck fest.
But I did like that scene a lot. I thought that fight scene was sick.
It was pretty cool seeing her
The-
fight. It was fun.
How they show the Justice League, the best.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Emails, my
God.
friend.
Emails.
Emails.
PDF files. Yeah.
Lex Luthor make the symbols for them?
Right? Yeah. He must have
Is
gone
that
up-
what happened?
He's kind of an obsessive character. Maybe he just really took the time to hire a graphic designer and be like, I want one that looks like a guy that would have fish powers. I want one that looks like a robot and stuff like that.
They need symbols that they will
right.
wear.
What's the symbol that this fast guy is going to have? Lightning. Thank you, lightning. You know, it is a little silly.
Yep, pretty much. How did that happen? How did he make the symbols himself, but then
They end
the
up
Flash
using
ended
them.
up using the God?
Please tell us why this movie's great.
Yeah, let us know.
I'm very curious. Like, I don't even. You guys heard me rant long enough. This isn't the first time. I think this is the hardest I've gone at it. But
definitely the
In a
loudest.
while.
I would love for somebody to explain to, like, I have a pretty open mind.
Sure.
Honestly. If somebody wants to legitimately have a talk with me, a debate, a back and forth, explaining why this movie's good, I would be more than happy.
A respectable one,
to be
yeah.
civilized and have this conversation.
Civilized
have this
indeed.
back and forth. I would very much like to be
Yeah.
convinced of why it's good.
Yeah, for sure. STGeekPod
Maybe
on
there's
Twitter and
something I'm not seeing
Instagram.
here.
Email us, STGeekPod@gmail.com. Happy to have a civil, respectable conversation about it, debate for sure. Doesn't have to be any bloodshed or anything like that. But
Yeah.
if you want to send us that too, go ahead. You can email us it. That's fine.
Also, Jesse Eisenberg sucked as Lex Luthor.
Oh my God.
He went for it.
He went for it.
You did a thing.
And he fucking nailed it. Whenever he went for it, he nailed it.
He nailed his
but he is
version
not Lex Luthor.
He nailed his version of Lex Luthor.
Oh, I forgot. And there were reports about how great he was, just like Jared Leto. Oh my God.
I think he had some sort of sniveling intensity to him, but I guess it just didn't come across
He played
very
the
well on
Riddler
film.
as Lex Luthor. That's what he did.
Yeah,
he
that's
was the
a
Riddler.
really fair observation there.
He
All right.
peed in a cup. It was in a jar.
It was a jar.
Yeah.
He peed in a jar.
That is super villain-esque right there.
Step 3 of my super evil plan: pee in a jar.
Anyway, I think that'll about do it for us.
You gave
Any other
biological
words?
evidence of your that you were the. Oh God, I don't care.
I don't
I'm
know.
done. I'm
And
done.
then he blew it up.
And then he blew
Why?
it up.
Why are you taking the time to send a lady a piss and then blow it up? Just fucking kill the bitch.
He wanted her to know that she was going down. I don't
by
know.
sending her piss.
But-
Is
well,
that how it goes?
Because she said the whole thing about
is
piss.
he friends with R. Kelly?
I know.
What's going
Oh
on?
my god! Another guy who's had some mean controversy
Yes.
throughout like his whole career, and then it reappears of late with more controversy.
Finally they exposed him, but that's something different.
Yeah, we can talk about R. Kelly later in another episode if you want us to. That'll do
I'm
it.
so done. I have no energy left, AJ.
Oh
I have nothing left.
Think
I'm
about
glad you
Margaret.
gave
He
so
has
much of
taken it
yourself
from
for
me.
this. All right, well, that'll about do it for this episode of the STGeek Podcast. Episode, 16, 17 now? We're going further and further, guys. If you ever, again, have any questions or topics you want us to bring up in future episodes for us to shout you out with, let us know. STGeekPod@gmail.com, at STGeekPod on Twitter and Instagram. Take us away, guys.
Love you all. Thank you for listening to Seek the Geek.
Seek the Geek. All right.
That's a good one.
Later on, guys. Peace.
Check.
Check.
Check your booty.